Is Jake Paul right about Dana White?
In regards to like
Fighter
fighter pay?
pay.
This is my take on fighter pay. So, you run a business, I run a business, right? You have your own network, I have my own network. You have, I have other businesses I'm involved in. I don't know their fucking overhead. I don't know. I know. I know they had their biggest year ever last year. Could they pay them more? 100%. They probably could. I don't know what that number is. And then also, like, it's not like I think one of the reasons, obviously Jake Paul gets a ton of hate and all that stuff, but nobody's done more for fighter pay and like, and putting certain fighters in the spotlight and showing what somebody can do when they take their career in their own hands than Jake Paul. So I think every fighter, instead of hating on him, which you don't see a lot of fighters hating on him now, but before it was really bad. But I think now, like, since he's gone that angle, so many fighters, and Jake has said this, behind closed doors, like, dude, thank you, man. Because guys currently under contract can't speak like that because they'll be, they'll be disciplined, man. Right. They will. Maybe they don't get the big fight they want, the big sponsor. Like, you'll definitely be disciplined. So I think Jake Paul's fighting the good fight. I used to be, dude, when how people have chips on their shoulder, I used to have a fucking stack of Pringles against Dana White.
Right.
It's all good now.
Okay.
Thank God he made some of those choices he made that, reason I left the UFC, and I'm grateful for him now.
Is it really all good, or are you just kind of like accepting like whatever, it's in the past, I'm just going to not care about it anymore?
It's all good.
You have had conversations and shit?
No.
Oh.
No, but I think being a dad and just where I'm at now, like fucking Andy Dufresne from Shawshank Redemption, I crawled through some shit and I'm in Mexico, man. You know what I'm saying? So I look back, I'm like, oh, it's all good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he did what he thought was best for his business. Now I run a business. I'm like, I do what I think's best for my business. I don't know the X's and O's of the UFC. I don't. Could they pay guys more? 100%. But if you want change, like it starts with the fighters, man. And when they were starting the fighters union, the guy who was in charge of it was the guy who started the baseball players union, which is the best union, the best deal any professional organization has. So he was behind it. And they asked me to be on the board of that. I'm like, yeah, let's do it, man. So we're having meetings every week. And then you realize that the guys who are making money in the UFC, they're not willing to die on this sword because their pockets are fat. So if you can't get the change from the guys who actually could make change, you're not going to do it with the small-time guys.
Right.
So then I was like, oh, I'm out, man. Like, if these guys aren't willing to sacrifice maybe a little money in their pockets to move the football down the field and improve the game, I'm out, man.
Right.
If they're gonna have to get their shit together, it's like wrangling cats.
The top dudes need to be the ones putting the pressure on the UFC to actually improve pay, but that's never going to happen because the dudes who are the top dudes are A, not going to say anything because they're doing so well, and B, that group is constantly in flux. Like, who is the most valuable fighter to Dana White? Like, if you ask that question 3 years later, the answer is almost never going to be the same.
Yep, but that's what it's going to take. If you guys aren't willing to do that, I'm sure as fuck not going to keep fighting this fight. If you don't want to win the fight, you're not willing to get dirty in this fight. I'm not down for it, man.
Right.
That's on you guys. But as far as Dana, like, everyone wants to complain about fighters' pay, but we all use iPhones, right? Do you know how much they pay fucking those workers in China make your iPhone? You don't complain about that.
But they're invisible to us.
Correct.
The fighters aren't in front of our eyes.
I know. So it's like pick and choose your battles. That's their thing.
Yeah.
I don't know the X's and O's of the UFC. But back in the day, I used to talk like I did. I don't.
Right.
I don't.
When I look at the Jake Paul thing, I'm like, at first I was like, maybe he actually could be the person to like really push this issue of fighter pay and really bring it to the mainstream.
He could be.
That was like 2 weeks ago, and now I already don't think anyone's talking about that. And I don't think
we got bigger
I don't
fish to fry.
Dana, like, it just doesn't seem like it's big enough for him to even really consider that it would matter.
He doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
He doesn't have to do anything, But I think Jake Paul is fighting the fight. He's fighting the good fight, and I think fighters appreciate it. And I think whoever, whether he thought of it or his team, it's definitely a good marketing play.
I would assume that, like, all the fighters were getting paid like $10,000 a fight. If Dana doubled that, it would mean the world to those fighters, and it would mean absolutely nothing.
Correct.
To the UFC.
Correct. But again, I don't know their overhead. I know they had their biggest profitable year last year, so I would assume they could pay him more.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But
dude.
that's what you do as a business owner is you don't pay anyone more than you have to pay.
And you have to.
And at some point, they're going to really start banging on your door and asking you to pay them more. And you know, at some point, you're going to have to give a bit. I've had this conversation with like big time execs at record labels where they're like, yes, we give them shitty deals because they come back and they try to fix the deal, and we end up having to amend the deal and give them a little bit more and a little bit more as they start to get more power in terms of the artist.
Correct.
But of course, they want to start from the shiestiest fucking place possible. What is this? You got white dip?
Well, it's just nicotine patches.
Oh,
tobacco free.
Oh, and they just come in that case?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you want one?
Fuck no.
No?
I don't
Really?
understand. This is not a part of my culture. I don't know anyone who does this. The
Really?
Nug Boys got me to try it with some fucking dip.
They do like straight up dip.
I tried it. I was sucking the sauce. I was like
Oh no,
swallowing it.
See, this you can swallow and you don't get sick.
You're putting like 4 in there right now?
3. I go through a can a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Shout out to Rogue.
how's that feel? You like it?
I dig it. Yeah, I love it.
And it doesn't come from you like smoking cigarettes or anything? This is just its own independent thing?
Own independent thing because there was a study done. It started with good intention because there's a study done. Dak Shepard, do you ever listen to Armchair Expert?
No.
So Dak Shepard was definitely not your audience, but Dak Shepard was talking about he's had a lot of concussions, and there was all this research done on nicotine, how beneficial it is for the brain. And there's like a 100-year study on people that smoke cigarettes. They realize they don't suffer from CT and dementia. They would die of lung cancer because they're fucking smoking cigarettes, but their brains were like dope.
Do you think this is going to help with
This
CTE?
helps. Yeah,
it
well,
does?
Well, the research backs it up, where it helps with like down the road with dementia stuff like that, and then also helps like nicotine cerebrally fires you up. So before I go on stage, I do this. Before I do podcasts, I do this.
I fucking love nicotine.
Love it.
I love smoking cigarettes, but
Yeah.
I won't allow myself to go to the store and buy a pack. But like,
But if someone has one?
if you had one right now, I would be so happy to be smoking it with you.
Like if I had a Marlboro Red or some shit.
And people see it when I'm interviewing people who smoke cigarettes, and I'll be like, "Come on, give me."
I wish I smoked, dude. That'd be so fun on this.
It's a cool thing to bond over, yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. All right, guys, we hit 50,000 subscribers. Our next goal is 100,000 subscribers. So make sure you click that button to subscribe. We appreciate y'all very, very much. Thank you.